What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Match Me Abroad Season 2, Episode 13, Crash and Burn. Let's talk about Amber. So, Amber does some cooking classes with Victoria and Darren and Glenn. And at that cooking class, I think they were talking about like after all of this is over and done with, are y'all planning on continuing a long distance relationship? And Glenn had said that he was very much interested in continuing a long distance relationship with Amber. And I think he said something like, I'm not sure exactly what he said, but he did use the L word. He did say love. He said something like, well, if you love someone, then yeah, you're going to want to continue seeing them, or the long distance relationship will be worth it, or whatever he said. I couldn't quite pick up with what he said, but he did say the L word. And so when he said that, Amber and Victoria were like, oh, love, so it made it seem as if to, I guess, Amber, because the rest of us were not falling for Glenn's okey doke, but I guess it made it seem to Amber that this guy might be having some real feelings for her. So after the cooking class, all four of them had gone out, basically bar hopping or clubbing. And at some point, Amber lost everybody, including Glenn. So when she couldn't get in touch with Glenn and she couldn't find Glenn, she just went back to her hotel room. So she texted him from her hotel room and there was no response. Then she looks on social media and she sees that he had been posting that same night. He had been posting on social media at all the hotspots that he was at after he left the establishment that he abandoned Amber at. So he went to some other places, was taking pictures or videos, posting them on social media, acting like he didn't even give a care in the world about where Amber was or what happened to Amber or anything like that. So it made Amber feel some kind of way because obviously he should be aware that he lost his girlfriend, and he never texted her, didn't reach out to her in any kind of way. He kept on partying, kept on posting on social media. So it did hurt her feelings that he was acting like that. So the next day, she plans to meet up with him and she wants to confront him about how she was treated by him the night before. So he texted her that morning, but he was kind of like, good morning, how are you? Didn't talk about what happened the night before, didn't ask, what happened last night. I turned around and you were gone. Are you okay? Did you make it back to your hotel okay? He didn't reference the night before at all. So this just adds more fuel to Amber's fire. So Amber's beginning to realize that maybe Glenn is not the one because, here she is, a foreigner in a foreign country, and she loses her boyfriend, and he's not showing any kind of concern about what happened to her. Now, I'm using the word boyfriend very, 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 very loosely. Okay. I don't know what else to call it. The guy that she's talking to, the guy that she was matched with. So I'm using that term very, very loosely. I don't think that Amber and Glenn are actually boyfriend and girlfriend at this point. So now she's beginning to realize that, all of the things that he was doing for her, the things that he was saying to her was probably just all really performative. Like he really does not have any feelings for her at all, because if he did, he would have been concerned about where the hell did Amber go last night? Where was she? I lost Amber. So she's beginning to kind of rethink her relationship with Glenn and realizing that, yeah, this guy doesn't really feel for me the way I thought that he felt for me. And everything he was doing before was fake and phony. And he was definitely love bombing her just to try to get her into a comfortable space so that he can continue to do whatever the hell he wanted to do, whatever his ultimate goal was. So he shows up at the place where they're going to be meeting up, and she begins to interrogate him about the night before. And when he begins to pick up that Amber's pissed, he asks her, do you really want to do this right here? And she's like, absolutely, I do. There's no better place and there's no more perfect of a time for us to be doing this than right here, right now. Absolutely, I want to do this right here. So they go back and forth about the text messages because he tried to clean it up and say, oh, but I texted you last night. When I realized that you were gone, I started texting you. I texted you like 3 or 4 times. You never responded. She pulls out her phone and she pulls up her text message. She's like, where did you text me 3 or 4 times? I don't see a single text from Glenn. So he says that she went home on her own accord. And like, she was just like decided just to leave him or just leave the establishment and on her own accord. But what else was she supposed to do? Stay at the club until the sun came up? She did end up going back to her hotel, but it was because she couldn't find him. And he wanted to make it look like, she just decided to just go home. And she was like, no, that's not how it went down at all. I didn't go home on my own accord. I went home because everybody else had left me. Everybody else was gone. Amber accuses him of, abandoning her at the club and not giving a damn. He tells her to calm down, which is like, those are like the worst words so that you can tell a woman when she is um expressing her emotions and her feelings, rightfully so, over being wronged. You know what I'm saying? She was wronged. You abandoned her. You deserted her. You didn't even check up on her. She's expressing her frustration with that. She has every right to be frustrated and upset and angry. And you're telling her to calm down like, she's a hysterical child. It's like men who say that to women know nothing about women and probably don't like women or respect women. When you tell a female when she's rightfully upset, you're telling her to calm down. So she ended up calling him an attention whore. And he says, that's what you think, but I'm not. And then he goes on further to tell her, well, you're the one that's over here looking for a man. You're over here looking for love. You're in my country, in my territory, looking for love. Okay. And then he tells her, no wonder that you're single. So that absolutely set Amber off. And she ended up knocking the drink out of his hand. And then she tells him, get the F out of here, get the F out of here. But this is not her home. I don't know why she was telling him that. She's telling him that as she herself is getting the F out of there. So Glenn and Amber, this was not a good look. I'm glad that Amber is finally seeing Glenn for what he really is. Nothing about Glenn is genuine to me. And by the way, when Amber and Victoria and Darren and Glenn were at the doing the cooking lessons, Victoria made a comment that she felt like Glenn was fake, that he was very performative, and she also said that it looked like he was wearing makeup, that he had on more makeup than Amber did. So yeah, I don't know if maybe he has a skin condition that he's trying to cover up. I don't know what's going on with the makeup, but I'm just glad that Amber finally realizes that this guy was not genuine. He wasn't genuine. He wasn't sincere at all. Like, I didn't see it for Glenn at all. And I know that Glenn was probably more exciting for her, but I felt like Kevin could offer her exactly what she's looking for in a relationship. Kevin is the reason why she came all the way to Ireland, to try something different, to try something that might not be what she would normally go for, but might be exactly what she needs. I don't know. I think Kevin is a much better choice than Glenn. Is this the love of her life? I have no idea. Are they going to end up getting married? I have no idea. But between Glenn and Kevin, I really do wish that she would have spent more time with Kevin. So that's the story of Amber. Let's talk about your girl, Monica. So Monica is still in a dilemma, as always. She's always in a dilemma. She's in her hotel room and she is trying to convince herself that she made the right decision by choosing Bruno. But the more she thinks about it and the more she talks herself through it, she's realizing that, yeah, Bruno really isn't the one for me. And she said that her heart is telling her that Bernardo was the right choice. And I'm not exactly sure why she feels like Bernardo is the right choice. Especially when she complained about him not making her a priority. The only thing that I can think of is that the physical attraction between them, the chemistry between them. And I think she's one of those people probably that thinks that, oh, if the chemistry is hot, then that's the guy for me. Knowing damn well that that doesn't mean anything at all. It just means that you have good chemistry and that's it. And her matchmaker tried to tell her, don't base your decisions or don't pursue something with a man based on chemistry. And her matchmaker told her, don't be making out with these men when you go out on these dates. Try to get to know them first before you get to that physical level. She didn't listen to any of that. She made chemistry a priority. She was making out with them 5 minutes after meeting them. She did everything her matchmaker told her not to do. So she is she invites Bruno over and basically to break up with him. And so she explains to him that she made a mistake, that they're not really meant to be, her and Bruno are not really meant to be, and that she still has feelings for Bernardo. And Bruno was so confused because he was like, if this is how you've been feeling, then why the hell did you choose me? Why are you wasting my damn time? I like you. I'm digging you. I want to pursue something with you. I thought you chose me because you were feeling the same. And she's like, no, I still want to be with Bernardo. Um, and he's just like, what? I don't understand. Like, why didn't you just do that to begin with? Which is the question that we're all asking. If that's who you really wanted, then why didn't you just do that? It looked like she cracked under pressure, and her matchmaker was putting a lot of pressure on her to choose Bruno. But she still should have just followed her heart, or she should be a woman about it, make a decision, and stick with it. Okay, because I understand that you have to have that spark, that people are always looking for that spark when they're looking for a partner. They need that instant attraction, that instant connection, that instant chemistry. But when you've reached a certain point in your life and you really are looking for a long-term mate, a potential spouse to spend the rest of your life with, then maybe, just maybe, you should pick the one that is good for you in the long run. This is based on the choices that she was given. I mean, really, what she should have done is just not been with either one of them. That's what Monica should have done. Thanks, Brazil. It's been real, but I'm out of here. And not have chosen either one of them. She doesn't feel anything for Bruno. Don't choose him. Bernardo doesn't seem like he's really commitment material. Don't choose him. And just go back home to California. But I don't know if it's the pressure from the producers or what, if this is her own doing. She felt the need to make a decision. And so she's going to go with Bernardo, which I'm like, I don't get it. He wants to have children at some point, which she doesn't. He doesn't make her a priority. He ghosted her, doesn't reach out to her, doesn't initiate anything with her the way Bernardo did, but the way Bruno did. And still she feels like she should have gone with Bernardo. So she tells him that they're not right for each other. She has feelings for Bernardo, and he actually starts to cry. He had brought her a gift and everything. He actually started crying, and so she apologizes to him. He ends up forgiving her. Like, what else is he going to do? But then he tells her that what she did was bad. She did a bad thing by playing with his emotions, and that she needs to work out her feelings before she does this to somebody else. And then after he leaves, he tells us that his heart is really broken. Now, I don't know if he's playing it up for the cameras or this is how he really feels, but I felt Bruno's pain because it looked like he did like Monica, like he was really feeling her, and I just don't understand why she did what she did if her heart was always with Bernardo. Like, I don't get it at all. Maybe she thinks that she can fix him. Maybe she thinks that um, she can turn him into a Bruno. She can turn him into someone that's going to make her a priority, that's going to want to commit, and that's not going to want to ever have children. Maybe that's what she thinks is going to happen. I don't know, but I think that she made a huge mistake. If anything at all, she should have just gone back home. Victoria. So when Amber, Victoria, Glenn, and Darren were all taking the cooking lessons together, Victoria was telling us that things between her and Darren are going really good, but the relationship really isn't progressing on an intimate level. She says that he still has not kissed her, which at first she told the matchmaker that she was okay with that. Like, if he didn't kiss her yet, she was okay with it. They got matching tattoos. They go through that together, but have never ever shared a kiss. So now she's beginning to rethink that, and she's like kind of wondering, we've been hanging out a lot, but he hasn't even tried to kiss me. Like, what's up? What's going on here? Truth be told, I really didn't see it for Victoria and Darren either. They, to me, gave more of a friend vibe than people who were trying to make a romantic connection. So she talks about how her and Darren don't want to put a label on their relationship, which to me is like code for this is not really romantic. When people say things like that, well, let's not put a label on what this is. I feel like then y'all are not really connecting. There's something missing. Like, if two people really want to be together in a romantic sense, why wouldn't you want to claim each other and put a label on it? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Unless, both of you are like, hey, we don't want that. We don't want nothing serious. This is really casual. But if y'all are wanting something serious, because she's in Ireland looking for a mate, she's looking for a man, a potential husband. She got on a plane and drove all the way halfway across the world, not to play around, but to find a potential husband. Like, why wouldn't you? Why are you okay with not putting a label on this? This isn't some guy that you met, in the frozen food section of your local grocery store. And y'all kind of talked a little bit on the phone and don't really know what's going on. This is very intentional for you, Victoria. Why don't you want to put a label on this? And if he doesn't want to put a label on it, then you need to cut him loose. So it's her last night in Ireland, and he was supposed to come and see her. So when we see her, she's packing up her clothes. I think it's the next day, but during her last night in Ireland, they were supposed to hang out, and so she waited and she waited and she waited. He never showed up. Didn't call, didn't text, no call, no show. So she texted him that night after waiting for I don't know how many hours. She texted him and said, "Wow, ghosted on my last night in Ireland." No response. He doesn't respond to her until the next morning, like around 7:40 the next morning, and he tells her that his phone died. That's not going to work, Darren. That's absolutely positively not going to work. You're in a modern country. You're in an advanced country. You're not in the jungle somewhere, or in a desert. You're in a modern country where there are several ways to communicate with somebody. Okay, I don't know if they still have pay phones, but you could have gone to an establishment. You could have asked somebody to use their phone. You could have asked somebody to use their charger. You could have bought a charger to charge up your phone. Stop. Let's stop. So that was just inexcusable. And if I was Victoria, I would have just blown him off. That would have been it for me. I'm waiting for you. You know that I'm waiting for you. And you're just not going to even call or text. This is what Bernardo did to Monica, and she still chose him. So, anywho, he is supposed to come over and take her to the airport. So while she's packing up her stuff waiting for him, she's telling us that by him not responding to her text message, it triggered something in her because of what she had been through with her dad. And she talks about, reaching out to her dad and her dad not responding. And so, because her dad was an addict and I don't know what else was going on. So that really triggered something in her. The fact that she reached out to him and he didn't respond to her. And she had explained this to him previously, that this is like one of the things that does something to her is when she texts somebody and they don't respond back. And that's exactly what, don't ever tell people what your weak point is, because I promise you that is exactly what they're going to do. If you tell someone, yeah, I don't want to be cheated on. I went through a horrible breakup where my ex cheated on me and I was in a really dark place. I had to get psychiatric help. I was not eating. I wasn't going to work. I wasn't doing anything. I was in a deep, dark, dark place. I was severely depressed. I had to seek help because somebody cheated on me. I promise you, whoever you tell that to, that's exactly what they're going to do to you. They're going to end up cheating on you. And you're going to be like, wow, that's cruel. That is absolute. Don't ever tell somebody what your breaking point is or what your weak spot is, because they will do that to you. I know I sound like negative Nancy, y'all. I apologize. So where we end with Victoria is we're waiting to see if he's going to show up to take her to the airport, and the conversation that they're going to have. Moving on to Sarah. So this is Sarah's last night in Singapore. She spends it by having dinner with EJ. And while they're having dinner, they talk about EJ visiting Texas. He's very enthusiastic about that. He wants to come see her in Texas. Then Sarah brings up her 2-year plan. So ideally for Sarah, she says that she wants to spend 1 year with her partner, I'm assuming her husband. And then the next year, she wants to start trying to have a family. She wants to start trying to have babies. EJ tells us in his confessional that these are the kind of plans that you make once the relationship has progressed a little bit further. That's when you start making plans of when you're going to start having a family. And he says that that's not the conversation that they need to be having now. That's exactly the kind of conversation that you need to be having now, to make sure that y'all are on the same page when it comes to time frames. Okay, that's exactly what y'all need to be talking about. This early on in the relationship, it's already been established. I like you like me. We want to be together. We want to go together. Let's talk about kids. and when we're going to have them and how many and the whole shebang. This is exactly the time that you to have that kind of conversation. I don't know what you're talking about, EJ. So he tells her that his business is his priority and that he's got some loose ends to tie up regarding his business. And then in 2 years, him and his wife can begin to talk about whether or not they want to start planning for a family. And that's not going to fly with Sarah. Sarah says that her priority is starting a family because her biological clock is ticking. She's 36 years old. Okay. So she needs something concrete. She has a concrete plan written in stone of exactly what's going to be happening, and it has to be within her time frame. So this is what I got to say about Sarah. Y'all, I'm going to say something very, very unpopular about Sarah. I think Sarah is just looking for a baby daddy. She wants to be married. She wants a husband because she doesn't want to be a single parent. That's why she has not gone to the sperm bank, because she doesn't want to be a single parent. She wants a partner. She wants somebody to be by her side as she's raising this child or these children. She doesn't want to do this alone, granted. But I think Sarah is more so looking for a father to her children than really like a romantic partner. Because if Ija would have said, "Oh yeah, I don't really want children," she would have ended this. Every time that she has been out with someone, her thoughts has always been to, when does he want to have kids? When can we start having kids? And she says in her confessional that she has been led astray by an ex who just strung her along, had no intentions of having a child with her, but made her believe that that's what he wanted with her, but it never happened. I think Sarah is just looking for someone to impregnate her. And yes, she wants a husband because she doesn't want to be alone, but she's just looking for a baby daddy. She wants a child more than anything else, but she doesn't want to be a single mom. Harold goes out with Amber. This is their last, supposedly their last night together. He does want to extend his trip in Singapore. He has yet to tell her that. So they're having dinner on this sunset cruise, and he hasn't told her yet. I guess we're going to see that next week. But, she said that her friend liked him, and if that particular friend that he met liked him, then the rest of her friends are going to like him, so that's a really good sign. So yeah, he's just waiting for the right moment to tell her that he's considering extending his trip in Singapore for them to get to know each other better. And that's where we are with Harold. And that's it, y'all. I try to keep it as short as possible because I can't talk. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later.